Absolutely. Okay, roll call.
Tammy Bowman,
Greg Campbell.
George Harris.
Sandy Butler,
So we do have a quorum. And everybody's had a chance to read the minutes. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Old business.
All right, so I added one rule to our HPC rules of procedure. The ability to utilize, scroll to it.
Do we have that on here?
This 2023 HPC rules unsigned. So I just added that a petitioner can utilize a representative counsel, and they can also Zoom in. They can use telecommunications when available. So we've added those to our other rule list now that Zoom is a thing. That's all I added. I completely forgot about that last
Is
time.
it a difference that it says must in the first, under B and may in C?
Okay, requesting parties shall be allotted.
Is
Yeah,
the must
under that
appear?
one where it's highlighted,
Any person may appear.
must appear in person.
Yes, because they have, yes.
Okay.
They have to appear by themselves or a representative or counsel in person or telephone. And then the second one is just not the petitioner. And the third one is for non-curators. They don't have to show up. But if you're the petitioner, you must show up. So, so that you would just vote on.
All right.
I vote that we accept the change as presented. Motion that we do.
We have a second.
I will second that. motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Excellent.
Okay, so next we're gonna go into, when we were here last month, we went over the first half of the design guidelines update. Now I'm kind of going through the second half, so hopefully this doesn't seem super tedious. You can follow along on your iPad. It's way easier than up here. So going through these, we have some contributing and even a few non-contributing, but reference style buildings that have no renovation or preservation guidelines listed. They weren't even in here in the first place. So what I'd like to do is just go through these as quickly and efficiently as possible. And just the ones that are existing, are we good with those? Do we need to add anything? And then the ones that are missing, renovation guidelines, if there's like kind of a few we can use for each one, or if they're in good shape, how to properly preserve those. That's kind of what I'd like to accomplish today. So if you want to follow along with me, it's that inventory PDF. We'll start with number 1. So those 3 points there, are those still good points? Okay.
Yeah, that looks good. I think I read a study, maybe the 1995 Walt State Preservation Study that has this building address in it.
Okay.
And it may have something to say about that downspout on the left. That it, you can see in the picture how it has sort of like, maybe it was an interior
The one on the right.
downspout. As I'm looking at the picture, the one on the left.
Is the one that's coming
Toward
out
the
down at
top.
an angle? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's one that comes out of the building
Mhm.
directly down and it pokes through the brick.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to, I guess, I gather from that study that
Okay.
I read. Anyway,
I
I
think we
think there's
addressed-
some reference.
I think we addressed that issue.
Oh, okay.
This facade grant, that was an issue about that stuff. I think that was-
Okay. So I'll look in there and see if I can find any additional info, and then we'll kind of vote in and adopt the design guidelines once we have all of it. So,
Was that, Bob, was that the original?
For the entire chambers building, there's two downspouts.
Mhm.
If you look at this, it's the second floor window is called an oriel window. And bay window on the first floor. In the center of that, to the left of the north, is the water that will come out that left-hand downspout. To the center window to the right, you have that 100 feet to the front of the building. All the water comes out of that downspout.
mhm.
And those downspouts were galvanized, rusted, nasty.
Mhm.
In 1980, I thought, well, I'll just take them off and replace them with copper, which that's what these are. I was pretty tough in 1980. And a 10-foot section of that downspout just about took me out. It's whole walnuts
Oh.
Oh my
in the trash.
From squirrels, it had to be from squirrels,
I've never seen a squirrel. Nobody's thought of it.
I'm sure.
Does this have, so the third point there, restore all original window and door openings? Did they do that? Because these look like the original openings from the old
No.
pictures I've seen.
Okay, so yes, the original is everything except the second floor window
Okay,
on the south. And that may as well be the original because that's been there for a long time.
okay, so should we remove that point since that's been done? Or should we say retain all original windows and door openings? Retain.
The front door is original. All the hardware was on it. Original when Redcom started.
Mhm.
They had beautiful steeple point hinges. Install those and put some cracking in them.
All right, so next one we have is the A.B. Taylor Building. should- I think this one could probably be a key preservation guidelines at this point with all the work that John's done on it to bring it back to the original. So I guess we could kind of boilerplate the ones that just need to retain and repair as needed, like brick points or tuck pointing. This has the original window openings. The door openings, I'm not so sure. I don't have a super clear picture of what those ever look like.
Yeah, the 1915 building doesn't show. much.
Yeah, so, you know, as far as buildings like that, retaining original, or retaining the windows and door openings, repairing brickwork, things like that is kind of what I'm going for.
About the same guidelines on the prior one. Basically says, that you're not saying.
Yeah.
Just go with that one,
Okay.
except retain.
Does everybody know when the building was originally?
No,
But that would be something that somebody wanted to do.
Mhm.
That would certainly, yes, do that.
Yeah.
Reasons not to is brickwork underneath, but that looks good
Okay.
in this picture. And then they wanted to add the center.
Yeah, I know, that is really cool.
To restore the pediment.
Yeah,
Yes.
Restoration.
Yep. That would be really cool. Okay, excellent.
And then there's chimneys in a lot of these. Chimneys will do.
They could restore the chimney if they
You
wanted to.
can if you want to.
All right, moving on to the 111 North Pendleton. So those 5 points, anything you feel we should add? I know Tammy had mentioned something about the sidewalls, but I don't know if, since that's not the facade, I don't know if we recommend anything like that in these guidelines.
Don't normally, but it's a facade that really works.
If you do. Right.
Yeah.
Then you change the first 10 feet. So that would retain the sidewall on the north and south side would be 10 feet.
Okay.
And this one has the.
It's vinyl.
One side and then the other side. building next door used to be a beauty parlor building to the north. We're gonna put some siding on, because there was siding missing. They were in an Amish room there, and got it in place, brought side walls, so. I put it on. I think it's really good second.
Mhm. Okay. All right, so I'll
We have
add
a
that.
study for this. Historic Falkirk has a study on this building.
There's a preservation. Preservation.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have it.
I don't think you do, because I just found it within our files,
Okay.
so I can get that, it's on this building right here.
So the upper floor on that is exactly the way it was in 1840.
Wow.
The paint color is kind of a C on it. And it's- I don't know, it's
So those windows are original?
Almost all of those
Yeah,
second floor
paint.
sash windows are original.
The ones on the bottom I saw here.
But you get up there and you look at those windows, there's bullseyes and waves. And some ones that haven't been replaced.
We have a few of them.
And then there's a detail that you can pick out here. So underneath each feature, that's horizontally down the gable end. It's black. And that was the first historic tax credit job that I did. And, David Duvall was the state architect at the time. Job, and he said, your colors you picked out here are awful. And I showed him what's up for this town of Daily, like, exact colors in it. 1850 or so book. 1840 colors in it.
So what about those two windows on the first floor? Should we have any recommendations on replacing those with,
There's great photographs of this building.
yeah,
think you
I have
may-
one of them.
Yeah, and it just when it faced here on the corner.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that shows the front of
Okay.
it pretty well. So the door is wrong. The windows, I don't remember.
Okay,
But they're-
I'll
I'm
put
sure
that
they're-
as a recommendation.
Yeah, I'm
or
sure the
recommendation.
windows are close to being there.
They do need to be replaced, I mean, there's.
Yeah.
Now, are the lights that are on either side of the doors original? The door original?
The side lights?
No,
Also, Horatio Architects wrote up something. That's stuff I think you're talking about. Something. And underneath the windows, that's original wood down there. They said it's not appropriate. Metal lumber actually had some of that. When I jacked this building up and put new footers and things underneath it, back behind some miscellaneous materials. Tongue and groove boards like these.
okay.
Oh, okay.
And I can't remember, if all
That's
those are
interesting.
original. I'm sure some of them are not original, because I remember buying some of them,
Mhm.
whether all or not. Those vertical boards are, that's right.
Okay. So where it says remove vertical siding below first floor windows.
Maybe I should have studied it a bit longer. It's a ratio.
Yeah. Okay, so we should remove that first point.
Yes, please. That's above me.
All right, we will take that out. But the kind of columns surrounding the windows are not the correct material. They're-
Those are all redwood, and so that is not as good as you're gonna get
Okay,
without finding. I'm sure it was yellow poplar at the time. But yellow poplar used to be a 600 and 800-year-old tree. But if you look at those boards are really wide.
okay. So really, it's just the material that's above the doorway. Above the door, because there's a transom there, so that, whatever material that is and the door to be removed and replaced with appropriate. Okay, and then the windows as well. So the building next door to that, 113, there's no guidelines on that one. And I haven't found any original pictures of this.
And it was contributing,
Yeah.
it says.
It was contributing when the crews came in. those little boys might have been 5 years old and their home would laugh and plaster. And studs had given up. And it was yellow poplar. So this, it is a, I don't know what's left, but at one time it was an extremely old building.
Is
Yeah,
that,
1890.
is
No,
that
it's over.
something that, I mean, with how much has been changed on it, would it still be considered contributing?
It's not contributing, no, it's not
It's-
contributing. It's
okay.
actually been applied, will be removed from our national register. But that doesn't mean that we can't put guidelines to take it back the way it was. We just
Okay.
have to find those, that building.
The roof line, I believe the roof line is original, and that's another hip roof.
The hip roof, yeah.
Okay.
Against,
Do we have any pictures of it or any, what would be the suggestions to make it look original if we don't know what it looks like?
It would help even to have like the oldest Sanborn map that shows it to show what the footprint is.
That's a good
Good
idea.
idea.
I think the footprint is real close.
Okay.
Me too. Reminds me of this little guy over there.
Yeah, that's another one. So that's,
Mhm.
that is in here. Okay, so I'll look for a Sanborn map for that. But as far as, you know, someone purchases this building and wants to take it back, how do we advise?
We advise by looking at something, we're thinking this is 1890. Looking for something with a hip roof on it.
Okay, how about I put some reference photos in here and say, you know, here are some things you could do with it example wise and instead of,
There was nothing in Ball State's archive.
no, I think I downloaded their entire archive and the museums. So we have that on our server now.
That's good.
Nice. Good-
Yeah,
good job.
yeah.
That's great.
So
And no, there's nothing of this building.
it would probably be center door, windows on each side.
Okay. All right, I'll look for some reference photos and then when we hit this next time, we can figure out if those photos are representative of what this could look like. Next, we have the building next to A.B. Taylor, 114 North Pendleton. I did find some, on the Ball State, a few extra really cool photos of it. So these 3 points here, the wood windows, so these here are, what is this, 6/6 that he's got in there? So originally, these must have just been 1/1, as far as I can tell. Some of these things don't have dates, so it's hard to tell which one came first. And this one, it's easy because of the cars, but. So should we put a point to that? Because it just says retain and restore existing wood windows. I don't know what material they're made of. This renovation was done after I got, or before I got here.
It would have been with windows.
Wood windows, okay.
Was there a packet when that was approved that had before pictures too, and is it useful to include those?
Yeah,
When this was approved.
yeah.
Because I thought they were fine. Maybe
It's a totally special size. You can see the fellow on the windows. Picture there. But I don't know.
Yeah, the original COA.
Yeah, I think it's in there.
Okay. So are these 3 points, I mean, again, this is another building John has, and he's done a pretty good job rehabbing the exterior of it.
First floor, he did a great job.
We did.
Mhm,
Second floor, a lot of those concrete blocks were falling apart.
mhm.
And that pretty much dates it 1900 or later. And a concrete block plants here called Pendleton block. Any block that's from Pendleton block is amazing. So I don't think these were from Pendleton blocks that would be later than 19.
All right, so these are good guidance, the
Yeah.
points, nothing missing, okay. And this one would probably be like a preserve, not renovation, because he's already done most of that. So it would just be a lot of the retain and repair as needed kind of thing. Okay, excellent. Next we have the Opera House. So again, this was one, Tammy, I think you had brought up with the side wall. This says wood siding, and is it wood or is it the cement board?
This is cement floor.
Okay, so do
And
we
the
need
wrong
to,
Side is out.
no, I'm sorry.
Which side is out?
They put the wrong side out.
the rough side is out, it should be smooth.
So I guess that first point is irrelevant because it's not the wood siding, it's cement board now. We could put in there to retain the cement board or would eventually
Yes.
someone to take it back to wood.
Yeah.
Take it back
Well,
to,
the cement board is a
It's
product
accepted.
that's approved,
Okay.
and oral is an approved product too.
yeah,
Difference is
we
the
did add
cement
in
board
there.
is slightly thinner. The oral is exactly the same thickness as most of the old back siding.
Mhm. Okay,
Some of those have like
Wrong side out.
should we stipulate that?
smooth side,
Smooth side only.
I don't know if we can.
In future cases.
Mhm. Okay. We could put smooth side out preferable.
Mhm.
What's going on with the porch?
Repair porch structure, first floor posters. I don't know, is it falling apart?
No, I just mean, was it a covered porch? It looks like the old photos.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't have one.
Right.
That's a good question. I don't
I
know.
wouldn't think that the upper floor would be extended. But
So
maybe
might, the
was
first
taken
floor
back.
got pushed back in?
Well, look, judging from the stairway, how close it is to the front windows, I don't think anybody would have built something that big. So I'm imagining that.
I
was
wonder when
pushed
that
back.
happened.
I don't know.
This remodeling was done by Pendleton Banking Company, and they legally was the contractor. That was somebody else. They had tremendous amount of construction. As far as historic restoration, I didn't know I was thought about this very much, but wouldn't you, husband Dennis, integral in this. Dennis was the president of the banking company. He ran about 6 different banks.
So do you know why he pushed it back? The front wall there?
I would guess they had some historic finding that caused them to do that because the Cheathams were
Yeah.
really interesting.
So we probably shouldn't, advise if someone wants to take this back to an original to bump that back out or to leave it
Well-
as it is. Because this photo I have this is from the Ball State Archive, says it's 1890, so I don't know what it looked like.
Says it's an 1890 photo.
Uh-huh.
I wouldn't think the building would be much. It's got the box cutter. I've never been up on top of this. I don't know if you put in that box cutter, but as far as I know, it's never leaked.
Yeah. So, I mean, should we put any, asterisks, if someone wants to take it back to its fully original look, or, I mean, they would have to knock that porch out and move the face forward. I don't think anyone would ever go through that effort, so,
And I think our national register is based on the way the building looks now.
okay.
Well, it was probably done, it looks like it was done a fairly long time ago,
Yes.
at least more than 50 years. So.
Okay. All right, I love how it looks.
Actually, I
I
kind
do
of do, but I always wondered why the staircase was so close to the window.
I never thought about that, but I was just passing it. to me.
Now,
And- And I saw that, so, okay, so next we've got, the Blessings, building, the brunch place. We've got 3 points there: remove the modern siding, restore original face material, retain original window openings, and original porch and cornice research. Anything additional on this one? This is again another one I don't have a picture for. I have a picture for most of these, but they're mostly the downtown.
Bob, what would you estimate the quick purchase?
The structure might be 1867. The brick porch is arts and crafts, and so it's probably brick, it's probably 19. Somebody wanted this. really like what they've done inside. They bumped that up, so inside wide open, the second floor
Mm-hmm.
door. Doug owns up that building. Built that stairway. I had to duck to get up the stairway.
Man.
And then I opened the Country House restaurant, they changed it, that's what the restaurant. And so I knocked out the stairway and raised it up, and then the room up above with the bench seat. And go in that room. And then they came back and ripped all that out, and it really is attractive.
So anything additional on this one?
Widows walk on top and look nice little fence around it.
Okay.
Each of this, if we have that cresting. Hips. Ridges.
Okay. All right, hopefully I can find a picture of it. Next, we have the 131 North Pendleton. So this has remove vinyl siding, restore original wood siding, and then retain cornice, porch, rail, column, and appropriate windows.
It says brick gutters. That's a gutter, it's not a box gutter, it's a gutter that's built onto the bottom of the roof.
Mhm.
But the bottom of the roof sticks out below the gutter. It's a beautiful style, and that's the style that my house had instead of. That's the same gutters, same style gutters. Coffee shop.
Do we need to make a preservation point about those?
I think it's important to save those because for 20 years they've been leaking.
Hmm.
They're lined with lead coated steel
Mm-hmm.
and it's no longer available. You get lead coated stainless, but not lead coated steel.
What kind of gutters are those, Bob?
Rake,
Rake,
it's like a garden rake.
so repair rake gutters.
Let's probably put copper in it.
What about the brick porch?
The brick walk and the brick porch was done by he owned the house. He is very high caliber masonry contractor. So this would have had Sandy's point.
Okay.
I wish I could put concrete and tile on my porch. Wooden porches are pain.
Mhm.
You can't,
bet.
you can't get the wood to last.
No, there's no way.
Mine's not ready for another epoxy, but
Okay, so I have the repair the rake gutters, preferably with the copper product. Next we have 205 South Pendleton, Carpenter Builder House. This might be one that I could do the reference photos, because I don't have any old ones, and I'm not sure what it, looked like. I did actually find a cool photo that I thought was this building, and then I realized it didn't have that little back addition. And it looked, it was wood siding, but it had kind of some ornate pieces on the front porch there. So it's really cool, but I can do something like that unless you have really specific renovation guidelines on this one.
I think this was redone back in the like 80s. I think the building, the kids over at the high school in the building class, I think they came in here and redone it. Remember that, Tom? Is it this the building?
I believe that
Yeah.
it was Kurt Collin in that building.
The windows in the front don't look like those are,
I would say if they take off that siding,
they find
All
that
those
there's the
windows are
two
bigger.
pair, yeah,
they're bigger.
So-
bigger, or there are two of them.
Yeah. Almost have to go inside to see what
Yeah.
these windows are unless you take all the siding off. But definitely siding needs to be removed.
Okay.
And then the original size of the windows need to be replaced.
Comes in the attic for the crawl space, like the date on that. And I really- It's approved.
And probably along with that, I don't know, is that door or the
The
porch?
doors, yeah, the columns have to be bigger.
Mhm.
I mean, if that's not, it's a carpenter bed, we've got several examples here in town that we can follow.
Okay. Columns,
Definitely
windows,
doors.
doors.
Well, there's 2 doors. there.
Original.
Well, there is 2 doors, I just
Yeah.
saw that door.
Yeah, because this is 2 units.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Let's see.
I have 3 doors.
for the other than that.
All right, cool. And I will look for some examples of that as well, but remove siding, replace with appropriate material, replace original window openings and sides column doors. Next, we have the Rings building. Theirs is probably just in retain mode. Probably. So this does have, retained everything. So, anything that,
Robert.
I don't have an original photo of
I
it, so.
know. It was enhanced just a little bit by the phones.
Yeah, Robert Brenda Cullen did that. And, you can leave Robert out of it. That's what Brenda told him.
But it does look nice,
Yeah,
but it's probably not original. That's the way you say that, well,
There's been some changes,
yeah.
but it's extremely attractive.
okay, so I'll stick with retain on those. Next one we have next door, 227. This was one that had no guidelines. So I don't know what, type of siding that is. I don't think it's vinyl.
I think it's
It looks like it's
wood.
wood.
It's
It's
the
original
original
article.
Yeah, well, they read the roof.
So we could do the, retain wood siding, repair as needed.
Yeah.
And the
Um,
windows.
They enhanced the window. With that, I think.
Window trim.
Yes.
Yes. This is basically a carpenter build, isn't it? You'd say carpenter build. We're trying to make it to a little bit of a Queen Anne with the extra trim work.
Yeah, I noticed there's some ornate little
Yeah.
pieces on it.
And the porch is that cement? I can't tell by the.
It looks like block. I don't think it's
It
wood.
is.
I think it's.
Oh,
It's a
no,
cement porch.
the cement port, the steps look nice. They might be original. I don't know. The,
Oh, I see
the
that.
gloss
now,
in there,
Yeah.
but it's the sidewalk. It's the part.
Yeah.
It looks like it probably once had a porch rail.
And the door looks nice. Transom, I mean, that's good.
It looks like it's got the original window openings as well. These look like the original size of the windows, I'd say. Yeah. Okay. All right, so we'll retain wood siding, repairs needed, and restore possible porch rail. Anything else on that one?
I have one question.
Sure.
Here, Rose. So we're looking at these buildings. Should we actually go ahead and tell them what the style of the building is?
It should be up at the top.
Is it at the top?
Yeah.
Oh, I see it now. I
Carpenter
didn't
build
see
and
it.
then the year.
Yes, good,
So,
okay. I
yeah.
didn't see that, I'm sorry.
No, yeah, no problem. And then the end of this, I'm working on the definitions and the links to helpful materials. And so that'll have the Gulf State stuff after I scan it in. So it'll be all digital. Excellent. Next is the skating rink. So
This was a skating. Really?
that's what I heard, that it was a skating rink.
It
at one
looks like
point,
it could have been, yeah. It's a pretty deep building too.
Right? Super cool. I wish we had a really, like, a original picture of this building, because I bet it was really cool.
Yes.
I was sitting at my desk one night. My computer's set up so with eBay, if something comes through and it's for sale, and it says Pendleton IMD, I get a bell that rings. And there's a piece, skating rink, of your advertising. And I thought, boy, that's really cheap. I could click on it, somebody else bought it, it's gone. But it was a skate, so
Uh-huh.
it was like somebody, nobody in it. So we have this skate, and then the skate has wings on it.
Yeah, like Mercury.
Yes, and it was orange.
That's really cool.
And,
Jake Brown did that.
I was gonna get it,
You
give it to
gotcha.
Chris and Brandon.
So I don't have any pictures of this building, but, is this one where I could maybe pull some examples in here? Cause it says restore original storefront layout, windows, door openings. The other things, remove the paint gently, repoint brick, replace awning with more appropriate material. I think it's just asphalt shingles,
Yeah.
or if it didn't have one.
I wouldn't say it probably not, but that's quite a-
Yeah, because it does say if possible, remove awning and restore storefront transom, so there must be a transom under there somewhere.
Those pairs of windows on the left, I mean, it looks like those could all have been. Right as well.
I think,
I think they were big bay windows, if I had to guess.
Really?
I think. so.
Yeah, like,
Okay,
Someone told me it was the Ford dealership. And anyone who's been here forever knows.
The Ford dealership was the other side. The last commercial building when you're going south.
yep, the blue one across the street.
Okay.
So I think all these are real good.
This was a company called Micromatic Home. Home is something to smooth things out. I know it had been Micromatic Home at one time. I don't know what those.
And it doesn't have a year on it either. It just was designated as 20th century functional.
No.
There might be something that follows the name of that business. in advertising.
Yeah, okay. I will look into that. They might have some pictures or something. What was it called again, Bob?
Micromatic, HOME.
Chromatic?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, person-
you're just curious.
I would think that the skating rink period, there should be somebody that's photos of those photos.
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing it in the year.
Okay, excellent. Yes, that would be a great brewery
I'll take a
Slash
distillery too.
slash skating rink. I mean, yeah, no broken ankles.
Yeah.
that
Oh,
was
yeah.
Definitely not.
Yeah, have a couple of beers, go skating, that'd be.
Perfect. All right, next, Bob, your house, one of your houses. What should we do with this one?
I have no idea what it looked like before it was modeled in 1930. But the car dealership that's on the other side of it, that's surely on top of it. Next building, will probably show there. This set over to the south of where it is now. It is extremely old because it's all post and beam construction, pegged together. It's got massive anti-iron timbers underneath, in the corners. Got it up, allowed the easy to rewire, put commercial wiring in. It was not that easy. The awnings on the front could date into the 1940s. Like pool vents.
They are in the forties, and my parents had the exact same thing. So.
Pull that on it. It's a factory here in town. Guy out.
So what, I mean, is there anything, I mean, should we just put some bungalow style examples in here or
This is,
what?
it's all pretty true to what they did in 1930s. It's almost 100 years old. Plus
So-
another 100 for what's underneath.
So is this a retain one where we just, retain what's there kind of thing? Okay. Retain siding, windows.
But if you look on the Sanborn map, from 1930, this.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it right there, up that south.
Huh, that is very interesting.
So when I came back to Templeton, Miriam Shirley, whose husband had a car dealership next door. She still lived there, so they renovated this for them to live in when they
Mhm.
had the party.
Mhm.
had a,
The more you know.
the dog's name was Lucy.
Oh.
Yeah, so
English bulldog.
So yeah, the next building is that Ford dealership, the blue one.
That's the Ford
So this one,
Oh, this is?
is this,
the,
Yes,
This is it?
It's so small. I'm
That's what the Ford
surprised.
dealership is at?
Across the street.
this is what I thought, this
yeah,
was
this was owned by the Harless family. And when they had a bicycle, they had I'd have to talk, there's one son left. He would probably have that information.
yeah, if they've got some pictures. That would help.
Then back in the back, it may still be there, but there's an awful lot of different oil dispensing equipment.
So there might be some.
And so it was definitely, it was definitely.
Around there.
Well, that you go walking around, you see the little test holes where they discovered oil, gasoline, things like that. So that it's underneath some sort of government program to make sure the gas doesn't get away.
Oh. I didn't
So there's like 4 bays in there.
Yeah.
No idea.
I can ask, I know Mr. Harless, I can ask. the photos.
Yeah, that would be,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
that would be fantastic.
Sandy's point about the bays tells you where they're too. Where it'd be nice to have a photograph from Harles's.
As a reference.
When I moved back here in 1978, it was a bicycle shop.
Do you know the name of it? Because I might be able to do some Googling and find it in an old newspaper or something.
I would guess Harles's bicycle shop, but I'm not guaranteeing that.
You know,
I'll
it's
see
funny,
what I can find.
the block that building's made out
Uh-huh.
is the exact same block my parents' foundation, the foundation of my parents' house.
Wow.
Yeah, you can tell by the pattern.
That is really
It was built, it was built in 49,
Okay.
Your parents' house was probably not,
with that same block pattern. It's a very nice pattern.
it's extremely late for that.
Yeah, but I've seen it around the same pattern.
Okay. So we'll do some extra work on this one to see what kind of historic photos you can find. And then the building next to this is 240 South Pendleton. This is a contributing residential structure. I don't think it's vinyl. I don't know.
I agree with it.
It is vinyl? Okay. So is this one where, we should say to restore the original wood and the window openings and the doors?
Is that like a stone veneer on the bottom of the back part? The front too?
Yeah.
Yes.
It looks like the windows are tall, so that side, if you look at the side on the porch,
Mhm.
look at that window right there. It's a
Uh-huh.
tall window, so
That
that
one in the front is
is
probably-
is wrong.
Yeah.
And that stairs is wrong too.
Okay, so restore original siding material, windows and openings and doors.
I don't know
And-
about the columns. The columns, there's 2 different styles.
Remove stone veneer and replace columns with appropriate style.
Now, this house faces at the side part, does that face the street? No, that doesn't face the
Yeah,
street.
this part on the left faces the street.
It does.
Uh-huh, yeah. Faces what's that, east.
Are those building houses?
Huh?
Nice hospital.
They have beautiful. Yes, they have. All right, next we have the JT Chambers building. Found a lot of really good pictures of this one. This one was easy. Clean brick and limestone, repoint brick as needed, retain window openings, repair parapet and opening. Anything additional on this one? I think they've been doing quite a bit of work on that. Last, we gave them some grant money for the tuck pointing. So,
If somebody decided to repaint the ghost signs on the side. Since they-
yes. So, we haven't had a planning commission meeting since the last time we were here. So they'll move to amend the UDO to allow for the historic downtown with the COA thing, but we just haven't amended that part of the code yet. But it will be.
So this building, what you're looking at is what's on it. Around each window, there's some curtains. But they make a large border round outlet something. It's not the appropriate size, maybe down the west side. That does have something original there. It's the appropriate size.
Okay. I will add that in.
This brick, if you look at it, it's hazy and it's splotchy. If you look at it real quick, you think, boy, that's great. They were supposed to repoint, clean the brick. They've never cleaned the brick. You go around the corner, 8 or 10 feet, the brick has not been cleaned. When you go to the north end of the building, all of that brick has been cleaned from about 10 feet from this corner, and it made a difference. And you can see it on that side when you look at it.
Yeah. We've got that on here. Clean brick, limestone gentles means possible. Do not sandblast.
Was that the most recent lease we were with DMA, or was that Redcom?
Rincon did the south facade about 10 feet back on the west from the south. David did the rest, headed back. Back to the building.
Okay, thank you. So on those windows, they didn't put the round top on there, the windows,
They didn't have round top.
couldn't find them,
No,
They
This
didn't
is a-
originally have it.
this is exactly what was there,
really.
except the windows are not the right length. Put your hand in underneath several of the windows, and it's surprised birds haven't moved in.
It's open underneath it.
The windows are crap, they're falling apart.
That's a shame. That is a shame.
Okay, next we have the yellow house. So restore original window openings. Place windows with appropriate size. The porch above entry is not original. And then,
Half of the porch above the entrance. That was wrong.
so what should we change that to? Half the porch above the entry is not original?
The south half.
Okay.
Not original. The roof line is different. I think of that COA and everything you got cracked and do the work in the building. There is a photograph that shows the porch there.
This is
Yeah,
another
the
one of
covered
the
porch.
pictures on.
Those surfaced.
Oh, I meant I told you.
Oh,
The
yeah,
original.
they're on.
1890.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's,
Okay.
I think 1898 is what the date is.
Okay.
And the porch in 1890, the front porch, the first floor, wrapped around the house, also wrapped down the east side of the house as well. That's something that's family desire.
Is there a transit over that front door? Over either one of them?
It looks like there was.
Yeah.
I think the front door is original on both of those. They do have the,
Like a transit.
It doesn't have a transom.
Yeah.
I would say one door would be original, the other one's smaller though.
both doors are. It's just. The original stone door is some that. It's
Same size as the other one. They're different sizes.
Did you get that the date is not correct? It's from
1898. So where are these pictures of it? 'Cause
Yeah, I'll see if I can rest them if I can.
Okay,
Pictures should be in your file because.
Original pictures, they did.
no, there's no original pictures of it.
There are some.
I just don't have
Yeah.
access.
He turned in the. CAD scan
The rent,
drawings.
yeah, the renderings.
And should we say wood windows and not, we're kind of leaving that open right there.
Or original wood windows.
Time period.
What you'd like to do is to restore the original wood window, taken out with the final window company, they were told to keep all the windows. Took some of them out. But parts are there. So they can be put back in. Just there's missing wood in the casings and the window frames. Probably should be did exactly what he was supposed to do with the major. That's when they came in, the guy couldn't put the window. Wood that was in the way. Some wrong size, bigger windows.
All right, next we've got 204 East State Carpenter Builder House. Another one I couldn't find an original photo.
This, I have never seen originally, but this goes back. If the stairway inside has been messed up, the walnut railing. It's kind of an 1860s, 70s style railing.
Oh, did you say this is kind of?
Pieced together.
Frankenhouse.
Yeah.
That's
It's a
funny.
Franken house. Let's just call it.
So these 5 points here, if it's a Frankenhouse, is there like a style it should go for, or? I don't really,
Just mid-Victorian.
Where's the porch rail and all that has to come on? That little area above the porch. That whole porch needs to come
well, it says research front porch configurations
Yeah,
and
the front
details,
porch.
so those need to come up.
That needs to be researched. But
Yeah.
Some of it has.
And then the possible loss of the front gable. That might be something that was lost.
on. And I imagine there was tall windows there, not the short. And the front door.
The front door was replaced.
Yeah, that's what really is weird, isn't it?
He had originally to do kind of mid-century model.
They did.
Yeah.
Mm,
It was- Yeah. So, we recommend it.
Okay, so those 5 points are still pretty good.
Yeah. pretty good.
Okay, next we have the library.
It's in good shape.
It's, so just retain all the work on it, windows, siding, is that stucco on it?
No.
What is that
Oh,
stuff
up there. the
up
upper-
there?
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
original.
Okay,
Now the windows looks different.
Yeah, they do. The
Yeah.
single pane on the.
Yeah,
whole- whole
yeah,
buildings.
those look really cool too.
Actually, that's under construction.
oh, that is under construction.
Oh, it is,
Correct,
okay,
yeah.
sorry.
I
Whoa,
was thinking.
I
about
jumped
wood.
on that. No,
I
you're
did
right.
too.
It's- Yeah, there's,
Good catch, Jimmy.
yeah, really.
All right, that one was an easy one.
It's a beautiful building.
Yeah.
It really is.
We were very fortunate to still purchase that.
Next, we have this building.
Mhm.
Dun, dun, dun. So, I'm good with all of these points to restore that original arched entryway
That
and
would be
those large windows. Tracy might not be too happy with that, 'cause that's her office, but we might not be in this building forever, so,
That's right.
you know,
So I read something, there's, I don't know if it was a preservation plan or something that Historic Waltham had. And it mentioned that this neoclassical detail that's on the ground floor was done around the time of the centennial, the Canadian centennial, that it was sort of a trend that they were back.
so this is not like, I mean, I don't know if there's a picture from 1888, but so what could it,
I don't know. I was just, when I looked at it after that,
yeah,
I saw those things, whatever those are, those false windows. Differently, something like that. So it might be something to just think about when you
Pretty
take
sure
it
the
off.
structure's 19.
Okay. Oh, this says Stevenson Building. Yep, copy and paste from. This is not the Stevenson Building.
It says Stevenson.
Oh, yeah, it is. I'm thinking of the other building on the
Yeah,
corner of
that's
State.
sure. That confuses me.
Yeah, it's photographs of the inner urban coming down the road. The travel bureau sitting right there.
Okay,
1888 is not the right.
okay, what's the correct date?
I'd say circa 1900. Next door, we're 1890. So got the building we're in now, building next door.
What was this building originally used for? I thought it was a bank.
Yes.
Oh,
No?
Yeah, there is a bank vault in here, so it wasn't something.
well, that was Pendleton Bank.
The other one that, okay, so before that, well,
There was restaurants and different things in that building. This was thank you.
oh, that's right.
This space.
Okay.
So if
Right here.
someone were to want to restore this, would it be appropriate if they looked at this idea and wanted to go back to this, even though it might have been messed with?
I think so. And I think there's a study on this. one.
We do have,
Ooh,
we have a study. on
okay.
this, but, yeah. That middle window is where it looks like the original building.
There's
And you
some
say
other
that's
photos
someone's
of that.
office now, that center.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
right
her
there.
office.
Well, there are other good photos of this building.
Okay, if you
Both-
have,
both
again, if you happen to have any, send them my way. I have the Ball State Archive and the one from the museum. And I've been going through those, but I think I really only have one good photo of this one. There's other ones, but they're so far away, it's kind of hard to tell what's going on with the front, so please send anything you have on any of this my way. Okay. And we've got the window open. Okay, excellent. All right. So now we have this. So retain brickwork and detail, don't paint. This is just more of a maintenance, repoint as needed. This photo, I can't tell, the front facade here, the entryway, I'm assuming is very similar to that. It just doesn't have an awning. So,
I think Rachel, our research on this building.
let's see if she's got any additional photos.
The
that I might be
photos,
missing.
I was involved in this a little bit. Photos were in the Paris. So the intent is good, so there's a series of photos. And this is pretty close.
Okay. Are there any annuals? What are it is?
It's called the Papyrus, the yearbook. I'm pretty sure they were 1940s, 50s. But
Okay,
and
I'll
all
see if I
those,
can find some of those.
well, all that's on the website for the
And you've got, paint. Under the National Register, we don't do that.
Okay. I will remove that, so retain brickwork
Return
detail.
brickwork detail, do not pay. It's referring to the brick, we don't want to paint the brick.
But they have the right to think that.
No,
They have the right.
They do not have the right to paint the brick. We have the right to tell them they can go if they want to.
I feel
We'll-
like you
we'll do
feel
some
very
research on-
strongly about.
We will do some research on that. Right now, go with what Bob says, but.
We'll just let them place on it.
Right.
Just say paint, you can see the yellow, the green, and things like that,
Mhm.
they can do that. But you don't paint the brick.
All right, next, 104, 108 West State, the IOOF building. So we've got retained brickwork, remove paint gently, clean brick, repoint as necessary, replace stone application below storefront windows with brick to match existing above. Okay, is that done on? Looks like,
There's a number of old photographs of this.
Okay.
And so replace the brick is wrong.
so should the,
That center openings in storefront. Now bedazzled, that's the center opening. See the sidewalk. Actually see where some of the center openings are. Where the limestone is.
so what, are there points you'd like me to remove here or add?
3 would be replace stone application with wood
To match, or just take out. to match. How would it be matching?
It would match original photos.
Oh, okay, to match. with-
There are plenty of old photos.
I love the trances on that.
Would you want to kind of put a point in here to replace the center entrance stuff?
If you're gonna be doing the work there, that's
Okay, how would you like me to word that?
Please with money.
please, yeah, it's pretty simple, but just replace the original center entrance.
Center entries, okay.
And they all have double doors, which that's something where doors were pretty narrow. So that door size.
Bob, what's the story on the awnings that are still there? Are they functional or like at what date were
They're
they?
still here in the photograph. There's one of them left now. One from the right. If you look at the front of the building here, coming from the east, we've got 104, which is where the restaurant is now. And we wanted to put a signage up there with the Venezuelan flag and American flag. After some talking, he realized that Venezuela has to be smaller than America and America. So the American flag is bigger, that's kind of appropriate.
Scott said just ordered it.
Scott gave me some direction on that, so I've taken the awning mechanism and set it upstairs. The storefront, that was also centered. I have an awning mechanism that's have a crank out on it. The one where bedazzled is, I think that cranks out. That's crank out awnings like that were pretty appropriate. Anytime I replaced the canvases on those, it was about $800 to replace the canvas. Company come out and replace it. They crank out about 5 feet. Number 3 is we changed the wood on the stove.
Yep. we'll move on to across the street at Bombshell. Remove vertical wood siding, restore original facing, remove wood shake awning, replace with more appropriate size, retain storefront, and, oh, this says windows and color. We need to remove that aspect because we don't dictate color. So just in windows. Replace door and windows with more appropriate style. Now, this is one that I think in the downtown revitalization plan, there was a reference photo, because again, I don't have any old photos of this, of a building next to the Masonic Lodge, so just west of it, kind of in between the post office and that. So I could use that kind of as a reference. It looks exactly like this. I really thought it was this building. So, but is there anything else with this? I mean, I don't know if we have any original photos or know what it looks like in that regard, but kind of just here's some ideas of what it could look like the Acton Academy behind us here.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Moving right along. Okay, next we got the bank. So, most of these say to retain, what's there. I know that as far as the original photo that I have, or the oldest photo I seem to be able to find, the anchored signage to a more appropriate location, as far as I can tell, that's kind of where it's always been. I don't know if there's any older photos y'all have seen or have.
Is another preservation study on this building.
Oh,
That is here somewhere, historical stuff now. It's pretty thorough. It also has the door
right, on the
over on
correct
the
side.
other
Yes.
side, so it has photos and things.
Okay, so we could add that to move the door to the appropriate location. If ever. Mhm.
Did he receive the COA to replace that door?
Yeah, he did.
Mhm.
With two side windows.
Yeah. But the original door was on the very right there, which is really interesting. I mean,
Well, within the two doors that are there, I mean, those are pretty old doors.
I think he said something about these were not.
They've been there a long time. They
Oh,
were, by a long time, they were there when I was a little kid.
well, all right.
It just lets a lot of cold and.
Mhm, yeah. Okay, so anything missing from this? I don't know if did this have, it had an original nameplate. I don't know who.
I would like to get up there and carve the nameplate back into.
I mean, I could definitely put that in there.
It looks like a piece of limestone.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Sometimes Gary thinks that.
Do we know whose name?
Does that count for trust?
I think so.
But this wasn't
Plan
just
eyesight
like
didn't
mortared
have
over,
much.
Yeah,
No, it's
yeah.
just Chiseled off.
chiseled off.
Yeah.
Oh,
That would be really cool if that could be.
Yeah, whoever bought it
Restored.
didn't like the paint.
Just children.
oh.
You can definitely see where they got angry in
Deep
Yeah.
cuts there.
Yeah. Okay, so anything else we need to add or change on this? I don't see anything about painting it a different color.
Now the embeds, there's the big piece of steel. Look at where the nameplate used to be.
Yeah, it looks like a projecting sign, not a,
Up above to the left was a piece of steel.
piece of steel.
Yeah, right underneath all the 1, 2, 3
But the
birds.
center keystone.
To the left of it.
Oh, okay, so remove,
There's a big piece of steel.
you know what it was for? Was it an anchor for,
It's an anchor for something.
okay. Removable anchor, maybe for signage?
Could be.
And there's other embeds on down in the yellow brick arches. That look for awnings and things.
All right, excellent. Next, we've got 114 West State. So, change, or let's see, retain brick, remove paint, clean brick and limestone, repointing, retain storefront layout, windows and doors, and replace left entry door with transom more appropriate design. And retain and repair necessary second floor, 1/1. Arch transom.
So the limestone course that's above the transom window. Start that down. No, it's not supposed to be painted. I think they painted
Looks like that.
almost. They put the wrong door in for upstairs, the door on the west side.
So good with one, so number two, you're saying to remove the paint from the limestone and the brick, or, I'm sorry, I'm confused.
I think there's limestone that there.
Okay, so not just clean, but remove the paint. Okay, and this says, and color as necessary. Let me take that out.
Yeah.
Okay, so remove paint by gentlest means.
There's another preservation study.
Where are these things all been
They've been hiding
and
upstairs in a
Bob's
nearby building.
Upstairs in the
Oh.
building.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness, this is so
and it's
exciting.
like what? It's like 15 feet from your door right now.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
I'll show them to you because I gotta get some stuff out of the phone before.
All right, well, all
And
of
I
these
think-
preservation
I
plans.
think that preservation study may say that that's not the original storefront. But I don't know that it's-
Maybe research
Yeah.
integration.
I think it goes back to the right hand door again.
That has a center, like it has the stairwell door, but then I think it might have been two. Maybe two.
Second
Oh,
floor,
okay.
second floor always had the big stairway.
Excellent. Okay. Well, and all of these preservation plans will get scanned in and then it'll all be available digitally. Yeah, we can definitely do that. Okay, the Tyler Martin's building over here. So I thought these were pretty good. Place the new brick that it's got the 3 different kinds of bricks. So store original windows on the first floor. Yep, and then if possible, remove awning, restore original facade. So do we want to add? Okay, restore original window and door on the first floor. Actually, it already has it. So
That'd be cool to have those, that scene above the doors.
yeah, I think those are like eagles.
That's what they look
They're
like to me.
birds.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it'd be nice if those were still there. They might still be there.
they definitely could. When he
Mhm.
removes that awning, I feel like there's gonna be a treasure trove of
I
stuff
know.
under there.
It's
So.
gonna be
Let's hope
fun.
so, anyway.
It's gonna
It
be
does look
fun.
like they, opened up the bottom. That's supposed to
Yeah,
be-
He's been having I know he's moving the ATM and working with them to move BMO Harris to move that. And then once he gets that finalized, he has an idea and a spot for it and everything. They just have to give him the green light and then he can remove all the awning. So.
Mhm.
Okay, next we have 121 West State. So let's see here, clean brick, remove paint from brick and limestone, restore original storefront. Some of these photos did not come out. They're different on my computer, so that was just on my end. But we can definitely see where the original, what it looks like. So that's fantastic. So I think most of these cover that pretty well, especially restoring the original storefront. These columns look like they were brick under that fan board or limestone bead board, whatever that is. So I don't know what's covering that right now, if it's just paint or if take off the stuff.
It's just painted. Actually.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, that would be excellent. And then the windows definitely, on the second floor. Okay, excellent. 122 to 24 West State. Now we're getting into the really stucco buildings. So remove the stucco, remove paint, retain the storefront layout. So I'm assuming underneath all of this, the awning and whatnot, shows the original storefront layout. Again, this one was one that was a little bit difficult to see in some of these pictures, but you know, it doesn't look like it. So, I would almost say where it says replace the wood shake awning, I'd kind of like to take that out and just put if possible, remove awning and restore the transoms. I don't think we should be encouraging replacing that unless it's a safety thing and something of that nature, but I think the only awning that's structural is that one, so.
But Doug, when the shingles went bad, we didn't particularly want to rip that one off. We moved on it.
Yeah.
Can you
Okay.
see behind it?
Did you see, yeah, the
What's
transoms,
happening?
okay. Original window openings on second floor, appropriately designed windows. Would this be like a wood window, or does that matter at this point when it comes to restoration of it? Because I don't know what material it was made of. Yes, okay.
Then the awnings on the first floor. All those have been original.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, retain brackets, repair is necessary. What brackets? The ones up on the roof? Okay. Remove signage and replace with less intrusive attachment systems. So I don't know if those are still there to this day. I took these photos last like fall. So I don't know if some of that stuff is still there, but I can go and double check. But removing that would probably still be advised, correct? Okay, excellent. Moving right along. You guys are doing great. I know we're at, let's see, 78 minutes, but we'll be done shortly. Okay, so the Masonic Lodge, remove that. It's not gonna, retain the storefront layout. As far as I can tell, that looks pretty accurate. To like underneath it and behind it, you can still see the stone. That brick needs to, I think, be replaced. That I can't quite tell, but the awning's removed. So I'm gonna take again out that replace wood shake with more appropriate material and just encourage removing the awnings completely. Cleaning the limestone, restoring original window openings, definitely. On second and third floors, restoring the arching, and then, yeah, that sign is still there, but that anchor is there. It doesn't have any signs in it. I don't know if it did, maybe like in the tornado ripped it out or something.
Are you talking about the big vertical?
Yes.
piece? That was for the. We had one on Monday, and that hill. Mine till the odd fellows, glass globes and different things.
I
Oh,
mean, that 5-section sign.
So they were lit.
Yeah, I think that it lit up for whatever meeting was taking place. If it was it's the Eastern Star was the women's group.
but it doesn't have anything in it now. It's just the bones, right? Okay, so, I mean, instead of, well, this says remove signage with less intrusive attachment systems. I'm assuming that's these anchored projecting signs, which I think is appropriate, but maybe we could add a point to that sign to, I mean, utilize it for whoever moves into that second story, or even for the businesses below, or in some way, shape, or form. Would that be something, we should encourage, is to rehab that sign structure? So, I know eventually he'll have plans to remove more of the stucco, but I don't know what kind of troubles you'll run into removing stucco around that But hopefully, when you do that, you can put it back up and reuse it or something.
There's two things that happen. You're really lucky and it all falls off.
Or,
And that's if you locate your motor joints, and you take a saw right across those motor joints. The stucco that was taken off from the fire station was quite successful, except they didn't follow motor joints that ran their saws up and down all sorts of different directions. And cut grooves all through the
Yikes.
bricks. And then they had to come back and put a second layer of brick on, which is what I recommend for Jerry Burmeister's building.
Did Dr. Lau, I only see 6 windows here, and on the actual building, there's 5 and 5, so,
Oh, I imagine.
so
they
did
just-
we give him funds for him to work on this project? I thought we did.
Yeah,
We
we
did.
did.
Yeah,
Do you know the
when's he
stats?
supposed to start it?
I thought it was first floor.
From what I understand, I thought it was gonna work with windows. Facade.
the windows were what we granted him money for. There was no movement on it, and so I relayed that, you know, we need to get moving on this. The guy who did John Oliver's arched windows, called and talked with him. I don't know if he got an estimate or not. I haven't heard anything else, but that was the last that I heard. So we might have to move forward with some motivation on that one.
Well,
I
if
don't
you
know
remove-
if they're really special windows that, you know, have to be done by, but these over here were arched, so that was the issue. This person has done a very, very good job on John's building.
Well, if he removes the stucco to get, you know, the structure underneath it, that's gonna be a huge chunk of the side of the building.
Yes, yeah, so in his plans, he has to just remove it around where the windows are currently, so the rest will stay on until further notice, but this will just be a start. to it.
And it's 5 windows. Okay.
So this is the photos that he used, and so in his estimates, he has windows
Okay.
for
That's
each
gonna
of
be
the.
such a cool building.
Yeah, yeah.
So we had Oddfellows, Knights of
But they-
Pythia, and,
Knights of Pythias, the Red Men, there
then
was a lot of
Masons.
every building.
We got a lot of lodges. That's pretty cool. Okay, next one we've got is 126, 128 West State. This is another stucco building, so remove that stucco, remove paint, retain the storefront layout, take out that replace. Possible remove awning or storefront accents, what we just have. And then original openings on the second floor for those windows, those look like they're arched windows. All right, I think that one was pretty cut and dry. Was there anything else? I don't know if anything on the first floor, I mean, with that storefront layout, is that original? It says, you know, retain that layout. Replace stores with appropriate.
There should be. Or something. Give you a clue, but the center is the doorway that goes upstairs to the apartments. Right in that.
Oh, okay.
You got the storefront door. Whether the window configuration is large, but
I'll just put in here to look at the window. Okay. Excellent. Next, we've got Jerry's building. Since so much was done on this one, I figured this would just be a retain all of your stuff.
I think Jerry does have a photo in his store that's taken like across from the post office. So it
Oh,
might be
okay.
better than,
Yeah, these are all lopsided, the photos I have from the old ones, so. I don't know what else is on there.
the photo hangs in the back of the post office. I noticed that there. Told Jerry about it. And that's what counts with the postmaster at that time. He was thrilled to take a copy.
Okay, cool.
all of those trucks were set in front of this thing. The brickwork is awful there. The bricks need to be replaced.
Okay.
They're just gonna keep falling apart. Just go with the guy's camera and get the stuff.
Okay, okay, so replace bricks, rub stucco, remove wool. Just good. Next, we got the post office. Clean brick and limestone, repoint as necessary, retain brick color and pattern. Excellent. Front layout, remove paint from foundation. Oh, I didn't even know that was.
Looks like the original doors.
Okay, let's
That's gonna be impressive.
put
There's,
the OG doors back on.
I think there's a photo on eBay right now.
It looks like everything else is pretty
Oh,
intact,
Yeah.
as far as I can
I
tell.
haven't got that, that's nice.
Yeah.
Light fixtures would be nice.
Yeah, I was just
Oh, yeah.
noticing that.
Oh, I like that. Light fixtures, okay.
It looks like the steps in the, like, lots of something are all in.
Joe Hunt and I did redo the steps several years ago. We didn't have the lowest, but that's good. The steps are in worse condition now than they were quite some years ago or whatever.
Somebody walked there to come in to-
Yeah,
Yeah.
they've been, well, I think they've been putting salt out there because,
They've been putting a different kind of salt.
yeah,
because
and it's
it
really
just
opening it up.
eats that stamped
Yeah.
brick stuff. It's absolutely wild. Okay, next we've got 200 West State, a bungalow style house. Repoint brick with appropriate mortar color formula, don't paint brick. Repair and restore wood eaves, replace gutters, retain and repairs necessary original divided 1/1 wood windows, and repair stone foundation as necessary.
I was talking to Waffle.
I heard it.
I would get rid of the closed porches.
I would be too.
Yeah.
Get rid of that thing.
Should we put that on?
No, no, no. I
Okay.
know her, she really couldn't afford to do it.
Well, I mean, in the future, if someone ever purchases
true.
this home, I mean, a bungalow style doesn't have it.
Recommend removing enclosed porches.
So I wonder, okay, I understand the facade is the front, right, but this does have Main Street. So is it appropriate to just?
Yeah, it's
Because it
a
has-
double frontage lot, for sure. We should get it, I should put a
Yeah.
picture in here of the
Like,
other
I
side.
think it had an enclosed garage or a garage that's been.
Yeah, it's something
So
like
it's got some
that.
interesting stuff going
It
on.
does.
inside, but
Yeah.
it would be
Mm.
good to-
I will add that in here.
Is it a garage?
At least that's what I've seen.
It is, it's something like that.
I
It's a
would
small
use it as a
garage.
It's
garage.
very small.
I will order whatever small car needs to happen to.
Little like
use it as a
a
garage.
smart car.
Yeah.
Smart car.
Okay.
Next, we have 206 West State. This looks like the one on East State. Is this another Franken house?
Yes, it is. I
Oh,
remember when they
boy.
were redoing this.
Okay, so look
Well,
at these.
It's a pretty.
Have Gothic
That's a real
elements to it.
Yeah, got the Gothic Greek. Okay, so
So
these
the
6
last one.
points, let me know if those are good and you want to add other stuff. Since it's a Franken house, I don't really have any input on.
I would say a reference photo of the Gothic.
Okay, okey-dokey. Any of these points that you don't like?
What about that window that's all that?
Oh,
Roof
wow.
comes up too high on that.
Yeah, the roof is cutting off the bottom sill.
Yeah. Porches are-
Depth of that gable is the only thing. concerning.
Everything's been.
Yeah.
changed.
All right, so I'll look for a reference photo on that one. Again, I'm not, I can go take another picture of this. I think I grabbed a few of these off of Google because I was too lazy. Next we have 110 North Main Street, the Queen Anne House. Let's see, 3-point brick, retain and repair wood eaves, retain base, stained glass. Oh, it's got a stained glass.
It does.
Nice.
That's at the top. You go up the stairs, that's what you look at.
I think I can see the
Oh,
railing
yeah.
in the window. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. I spelled foundation wrong. Okay, retain wraparound porch column design, do not enclose, definitely don't. Repair stone foundation as necessary. I think that one is pretty good. Anything?
There's one really interesting thing. We have termite shields on properties. Come through the foundation into the property. This has a layer of slate, roofing slate. So if you look at it, we're talking about the foundation coming up. Brick. There's a layer of slate coming around the house.
Termites.
Keeps termites out.
Excellent. All right, next you got the Gray Goose. Okay, well, that's a reference picture of John Pennington. I blame InDesign. So remove paint. So this, the third point here, remove ivy. I don't think there is anymore. Maybe this was an old point on here that has been accomplished.
Yeah, they recently tucked one in this place, so I think they had to take all that.
Right. Let's see.
It's a good point to get the ivy off. I've seen it go.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen it go in and break windows.
It's nasty. Okay, so remove paint, gentlest means possible, retain and repair wood windows and corners as necessary, repair as necessary, retain window configuration, remove applied material on chimney to restore brick face. Okay, that's cool. Shutter style. So. I don't know. Has this ever had shutters?
Originally didn't have shutters.
And the windows are different too.
It looks like there's shutter brackets on some of these.
Looks like there's just 2 over 2 and these windows on the middle one.
Yeah.
So
And I don't have a picture of the side, which I'll put kind of some.
No, that middle one is
The
not.
middle
that's
is not the
Sandy.
big, not the great.
Oh, the middle one is
That's
Thomas
the street
Pendleton, sorry.
It's from the same newspaper.
So I'll put pictures of the side of this because it was pretty cool.
Oh, that's
So,
what's there. Okay, I see it now.
so should I remove number 6?
Yeah.
As far as the shutter style, okay. Retain and repair parapet is necessary, okay. Retain entry configuration of balcony above and include balcony rail, okay. And, so what about that porch that's on the side?
Yeah,
Would we encourage the rebuild of said porch,
1920, it's on the top left.
the very top one
South.
Space in the side.
on the side? Yeah.
We don't normally do that.
Okay. I don't know if that was original.
In 1920, it's probably not original.
Okay.
The building's in support.
This Sanborn map of the oldest available would show it as a dot.
Okay. When it showed up, okay. So we want to add that, so then repair stone foundation is necessary and remove plant growth, okay. Anything else to add to this one? There's a comment about an original lime coat.
Look at the earliest photo, which Jim Brown Group has that. We got it for a bargain, for like $5 at an auction. Ron Berline quit bidding at 500. He says, "Hell, I don't need it that much."
Jay's got most photos of the town.
So do we need to make a comment about the limestone, or not
The
limestone,
wash.
sorry, lime wash?
I don't think the lime wash should.
Okay, no problem. Next, we have 100 South Main. Okay, so is this built earlier than 1860?
Yes,
You know what year?
Maybe 30.
It's an old man. But
Chris?
it's
Yep.
a little bit too.
All right, so remove paint gently, repoint brick, retain and repair wood windows, cornice and brackets. Excellent.
Is Jack Tudor still in this?
Yeah. I think we have a study on this back in our file, because historic Falkirk, we own that building several times.
If it's not here, I know. Chuck working.
I think Jackson. That's his name.
Or we sold it.
Oh, he did?
Retain and restore as necessary, window configuration, okay. Retain entrance openings and door type with transom, repair foundation with like material. Anything additional on this one?
It's a cool building.
We're almost to the end, folks, promise. Next, we've got 108 South Main, so just right south of that building. Retain, repair, and repaint wood siding. Should we take out repaint, or is that part of?
That's not really.
It's more like maintenance. They just haven't
Yeah.
painted.
Which they have done. maintenance on this recently.
Okay,
This house is very old. What date do you have on this?
1840.
Wow.
That's
at least that.
That
Because-
Baylor,
This
because
is
you're
called like
aware.
a salt box.
I guess,
yes.
yes.
You look at the foundation, I think it's like.
Ooh, yeah, let's see. Oh, it doesn't mention any of that in here. Maybe we should put, retain and repair as needed the limestone foundation.
And the mailbox too.
Yeah.
Yes,
They take mailbox every couple of years.
the mini me.
No, that is really cute.
I don't think that, stern door is in there, but it looks nice.
Let's see, replace shutters.
Replace shutters, is there shutters on there?
It just says replace shutters on both floors' windows.
Oh,
You know, it would be worth some investigation, I think, to see if there's any evidence of it, since so much of it.
We did put shutters on way back. Day. I've never known to have shutters. You never have shutters?
But,
Yeah.
So this also says first floor windows were also likely 6/6, like the second story. Is that accurate? Okay. Retain entrance opening, surround, side light, and transom. Okay. Retain low pitch side gable roof line. Research possible loss of cornice detail along roof and second chimney. Oh. Huh. Would that have gone right above this little window? That's where that chimney would have come out. Would have been on either side of the house, or would it be on the back?
Could be on the side.
You see there's a chimney right there.
Right, there's two of them, right?
There's two of them.
Well, it says research possible loss of cornice detail and second chimney.
Oh, okay.
it's federal style, and good chance they had a chimney.
On either
Mhm.
side, yeah. Okay, excellent.
I noticed something that, Bob, I'm interested, like the band around the roof line at the top, it looks like it has a gable return. Do you think that's real?
Yes.
There would have been a chimney on this side,
Yeah.
all of that would have been replaced, so they tore a chimney off here. They redid the roof line, they redid all that too, the siding. So if there was a chimney on this side, all of that is good.
Interesting. Well, we can find some pictures of it.
We may have photos of it on, but we lived there a long time.
Really cool. Next we have Tammy's. Tammy's building. So,
Ah,
sweet home. We know there's a preservation plan for this, so I mean, we've got 9 points here. I know you're getting to some of these here shortly. So when you're done with those, let me know and I'll remove them from here. So I think that tuck pointing is your next thing to do.
And I'll come with one. Okay, replace windows.
We got everything? Okay. All right, next we have 112 East High.
This is an old building, I didn't realize it. I drove by the other day, this is the foundation of it.
It says circa 1900. Do you think that's accurate?
I think it's older than that,
It's a lot older.
yeah.
You have a guesstimated date?
Well, 1870. What do you think? It could even be older than that, because it's really a federal style.
It's definitely posted.
If I got two up and two down.
Looks like,
It could be.
looks like the house is on Main Street, 1820. But it's there.
So I could say 1850s-ish, perhaps?
Let's see, circa.
Just put CC
So,
in.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got a circle on all these.
Okay,
What kind of sidings on this?
it's a lemon.
Aluminum siding, looks like really-
So any renovation guides on this one? I know I
Start
definitely.
over on it.
I mean,
Yeah.
Huh?
I said start
Start
over
over.
on.
yeah.
I'll
Well,
put
there could
that
be
on
wood siding
here.
underneath all this too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it could
I
be
know
wood
it's
and
fine.
resin. Aluminum
It's
gives me
probably
hope
good.
when I see
Yeah,
aluminum.
probably
It
understood.
means whatever's underneath the image.
Okay,
And I'm sure
Um,
those windows are not right either.
And the front porch, I think.
No. It's just a, it's a,
I would maybe
Yes.
do a federal as a reference.
And the shed.
Yeah, sure.
In the back, yeah.
Yeah.
Investigate.
I don't know who lives there. Who lives there? Anybody know?
First thing.
He owns that? Well, we need to get
Who
that
is
right.
this?
Bruce
Bruce
Wayne.
Wayne.
Bruce Wayne?
Ray.
No,
Yeah.
Ray,
No.
no, he's,
Batman?
no, he does
Yeah.
not. Fight
So-
crime at night, no.
This might have just been a copy paste error on my part, but this says Carpenter Builder House. So is this a federal Greek revival?
It looks like
Or just federal?
It's a federal style.
Just federal.
If they took that siding off, it would tell, you know, tell us why.
Oh, yeah, that. Okay, so, okay, I will get that. All right, last one. Bob. 110 West Side.
The detail over the windows was not there, so I found that one of the windows did have that in the shadow. Duplicated it. So the window detail, the blue tarps. I find it, go and replace that window.
Okay, so,
Um,
let's see, what about the
Skylights,
door?
new, I love skylights. This is probably 1840.
Okay.
The part of the upper and lower window is the original section. To the west of that is first edition. Right now it's the second, third, and fourth edition.
Wow,
So you can tell that from the crawl space. Just
The porch, there's a
front porch is
there.
really real.
They're walking on the front porch.
It was real for kids. The decking of the front porch is not.
Yes, the porch.
all right, so I've got repaired decking. What about the door? On the deck? Anything on
Front door.
the front?
I have taken two 1860 doors out of the house in town. That was very painful.
Excellent, okay.
Do those. And what about the columns? Those are over there.
Yeah, they are.
They
That's,
are?
you can see where it's been dovetailed. It's been mortised into, it used to be a railing went across.
Those look like.
Those are all.
Old steps.
So there
as well.
used to be like
The steps will have to come out.
Yeah.
For ADA ramp to go in.
the column, there used to be a rail on the porch.
You can go up and kind of see what it was, the board that was mortised.
Okay. Okay, and then if you have any pictures of this one, or anyone who does,
Just Sanborn maps, and Sanborn maps does show where they've been. Back on the northwest side.
interesting. Okay, sorry, that was painful. But the last ones are just the park features and the cemetery, so I don't know, I don't really know if we have any renovation or guidelines for those ones of.
Shelter house at the first picture, do everything you can to keep that, that's
Yeah.
amazing structure.
These might just be maintained as is.
Bob, didn't you redo the lighthouse?
Oh, yeah.
I'm very familiar with the lighthouse.
Yeah.
I've touched every rock on that lighthouse at least 3 times.
And then
Yeah,
the
that almost
falls,
sounds
then we
pretty
can do
awesome.
there, swimming pool. What are your guys' thoughts on removing the dam to take it back to the 1820, no dam, no low head danger zone? Okay. The
So.
park has been
I'm in
approached
conflict.
about
I'm
kind
in
of.
conflict with that, because
Swimming that pool.
the last,
Did you really?
I said lifeguard until it shut
Yeah.
down in 1980, 1965.
Mhm.
Fourth of July, we had over 2,000 people pay to swim. What would that do to the park budget today?
If we remove the dam,
If 2,000 people came in to swim on the 4th of July,
people don't swim in that anymore.
that's.
He wants to
Okay.
get it back to we can swim in it.
But don't we still have
Yeah.
water fertilizer runoff and all that stuff?
Yeah,
It's
no.
so much cleaner now than it was shut down. It was
Yeah.
shut down.
But when you have to dredge it, isn't there a lot of sediment in there
I don't think that's ever gonna happen, Bob.
Every year.
now?
As nice as it would be, I don't think that's really
In
realistic.
May,
They drained us in the pond. didn't
Uh-huh.
they? They do that.
I can bring that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that would be good.
You want a copy?
I have it, Tammy, snapshot of it.
I can plot you a copy. The original Grove Lawn Cemetery layout and landscape plan
Oh,
that
yeah,
we
we
had
had that.
restored.
Yeah,
We
it's
got
so
a super fancy case for it, so it wouldn't
Yeah.
fade, but we can put it through our plotter.
Yeah,
like
too.
that.
I would
Well,
love
maybe someone
that
took it.
landscape to be really good and stuff.
Yeah, it would be
It's
nice,
amazing.
wouldn't it? It's strewn a
Well,
little
I see this,
fur
they have
from
the
the
original post
idea,
there.
so
So it's nowhere.
it's nowhere near what it was supposed to be. Okay. All right, I have a few more things to go through. John Oliver wanted your input on how we should preserve the Hayden signage. He is going to go ahead and remove it. And I said maybe a frame with some sort of special glass so it doesn't deteriorate. He wants to hang it on the west wall, the brick wall in his building on the west side.
Inside the
Oh,
building.
inside the
Inside
building?
the
I think
building.
that's
There is
perfect.
no brick
Yeah.
wall on this building.
On a different building.
No, on the inside of that one. I thought it was brick.
Oh, it's wood.
It's wood frame. You can actually see there's carriage doors set up there. going
Yeah.
to the Next piece.
Yeah, so he wants to hang it there.
I think that's awesome.
Are there any sort of special preservation techniques he can use or that you would recommend for removing that, framing it without,
Is he gonna repaint it then? Or make
I
it-
don't think so. I think he's just gonna frame it in something.
No, I think it'd be great if you could somehow find a, some sort of, coat, clear coat over the top of it.
Yeah, that's kind of what,
And then if he frames it, just put it up there and it should be fine. I think it's indoors.
yeah.
It's gonna be protected.
I think he'll probably utilize like UV resistant glass,
Yeah.
acid free glass, stuff like that. But it just, as far as that kind of coat on it, he just wanted to pick your brains on if there
I
was
think that's great.
anything you recommend.
I don't, if you put the proper glass on it, I don't think I'd put a seal in it.
If you did a water-based, clear coat, that doesn't change the, I mean, it doesn't darken the color or anything.
It won't hurt the whole
I don't,
thing.
you'd have to probably do a test.
Yeah,
spot or
yeah.
something. But yeah.
That
I
is
mean,
a good point. If it's a good glass.
Yeah,
it
it's
should
a large, it could be a large piece of glass though.
It's like doing.
It is.
But it's indoors.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun.
Unless somebody
Um,
decides to get out a Sharpie and start writing on it or something.
Hopefully
Yes.
not. So the other thing he did want me to update you on is that, looking at the wood, it's in very poor shape. So he was like, it's not feasible for me to really save parts of it because they're so small. They're not really utilizable on that big stretch. Both the front and the side. So he's gonna be using a like material, it'll be wood, the tongue and groove style. So I told him, it just has to look like the style that's there. It can't be, 2-foot long plank, and fit whatever that is. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, as close as possible, but as long as it's a wood material that matches that, I think that's fine, unless there's any recommendations. Tongue and groove is pretty. So just wanted to update you on that, for him. And then some new business we have is just, 2 conferences that are coming up. So May 9th in Richmond is the 2023 Quality of Place Historic Conference. And this year's Quality of Place Conference will cover how to organize and manage a neighborhood community development corporation and historic preservation commission. So,
Oh, we need to go to that.
yeah.
This guy puts on the best conference
Yeah.
in the state of Indiana every year.
What
He
day?
brings in
It is-
talent that's just amazing.
May 9th.
It's, yeah, so
I
It's
will
on
send
the-
out an email with this
it's on the-
information.
it's on the agenda.
May 9th,
Yep, and that's
It's
in
right.
Richmond.
No?
2 days,
I think it's just one day.
1 day.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
always one day.
I think it's just the one day.
Do we have funds to send everybody? Where they
Yeah,
can go?
We should. I'll check the funds though. And I think so it's for a member or something. It might be a fundraiser.
Is it put on by who, Indiana Landmarks or?
Oh, gosh.
Landmarks has a part in it, but the guy. Fishing over there. I forget his name.
This was, yeah, Richmond Properties or something. Yeah, it's that. Because it was sent to me, I think, by Steve Kennedy.
Oh, yeah.
And then the next one is virtual course from NAPC, so kind of like those ones we've been doing back here, but this is a 2-day one you can do on your own, August 23 and 24. And we are a member, so I know that one is either heavily discounted or free for us. So I will send out an email about those 2 things, but I just kind of wanted to let you know that's what has been presented to me. And then COAs, we haven't had any since our last meeting. So I will go through and revise these. And then please connect me with the old pictures, people. We have a scanner, we have a plotter, we have all the things. So if you can just bring me a picture, I can digitize it. Some way, shape or
I have
form.
a question about the wine table. It's like all the dirt and fluid that below the window and take them off.
It's, Steve said it was severely rotted. That's what I was told. I
I was
didn't
gonna say,
know,
that's not very old.
I didn't know it was being
No.
removed. I thought it was in good shape, but I guess they got in there to, do some stuff with the windows maybe and found that it was rotted.
If there's anything wrong with it, it's the studs in the wall, with the original material on the outside. Great shape.
I know that they had issues with the water leaking in through the transom windows, and that was the reason that
That was
those
one
were,
time.
were rotted according to what I was told.
But he's coming back, it's gonna look the same.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
And that's materials wise, so.
Yeah, I have
so-
one more thing I want to talk about too.
Yes,
We had previously mentioned doing an open house, HBC doing an open house. Maybe
Mhm.
anybody, realtors, builders, anybody who pertains to what, what we work on here. And just having them get to know us so that I have our names when they want to swear at us. So
Cuss us out.
if they want to cuss us out. No, but it's just something where we can kind of connect with them and say, look, we're here to help, not to hinder.
yeah, no, I think that's great.
Yeah, so,
We should do that this summer.
yes.
And then another thing that I'd like to do eventually is our iWork system, which keeps track of all permits for properties within our jurisdiction. It's like parcel ID. Putting some sort of red flag on all of our properties that are within a district, and eventually, if we get some residential design guidelines, doing the same thing with that. That way, at least for us, we'll know it needs a COA, or maybe if someone calls in and, wants to do something, we say, and just so you know, you have to go through this extra process. I don't know if it necessarily would inform a potential buyer. It's kind of just on the back of house end. But that's something that iWork system can do just about everything. So really utilizing that to just make sure everything stays stays relevant. But yeah, and that way, I'm not here, Brett's not here, whoever replaces us eventually, they'll have that right there. No worries about scanning stuff in anymore. It's all digital. And then I did want to, Sandy and I have kind of been working on possibly getting some residential design guidelines, kind of similar to this, but for the residential area. It's gonna take a couple more hoops, because we would have to basically expand the power area you have COA power over to include the residential core, the downtown urban fabric of residential area. So we're kind of working on that. I know Brittany emailed us back with some feedback on using their templates. They do have some templates for that. So we might not necessarily have to hire a consultant for absolutely everything. Probably the surveying would be what we would hire a consultant to do. I think Sandy's pretty well knowledgeable on being able to pull those templates out pretty easy.
But how does the commission feel about that? Because we're gonna be controlling basically the residential like we do down here.
Do we have a clear purview over that? This is the historic preservation.
We would have to
We create that.
expand that jurisdiction.
So making all of the residential area historic preservation.
Yes, and the
Not
way
in the
that,
National
The
Register.
National Register
Right.
District area.
Yeah,
Right.
yes.
so, and the way part of that survey would work is that anything within our RC zoning, so I know where that is, but it's essentially the national district, excluding this area. And the survey that would be done would exclude anything that's a modern build. So like Kyle Smith's house is on Main and Tile, even though they're in RC zoning, they wouldn't be a part of this because they're too modern. Anything that's been, retrofitted or just, is something too modern. And then, was there anything else that would be excluded from that survey? So it wouldn't
Well-
be every single structure
Yeah, it's
necessarily.
not every single structure.
It would just be,
But
So
even
like
ranch
broad
houses
houses,
right now could be part of it, because if they were built in the sixties,
Absolutely.
they could be
Yeah.
part of it, even if it be a
well,
modern.
that's right, it's 50 years.
Yes.
Yes.
So I mean, we're in this
Yeah,
new.
I was
time
around.
frame.
Yeah, right.
But they're very good about helping us too, just like we did this downtown. It was Indiana Landmark was there to help us all the way through it. There's always pushback. Sometimes there's pushback and we are able to do it. But because we're on the National Register, we need to do that to save in our homes, to save in our National Register, because we're getting to the point, if we're being down, we're losing houses like every month. We're losing
Right.
houses. The vinyl siding.
And so eventually, couldn't that take us off the national
Yes, it
register because we've lost so much of our fabric?
Yes.
How much PR work do you think we need to do to help
A
that?
lot.
It would
Wow.
take-
We would need some-
Yeah.
Oh,
Meeting with the realtors.
That's kind of where, yeah,
They will not like this. at all.
no.
They, and I think just Sandy made a good point, like it is going to have extra steps and you are gonna have to spend probably some extra money on, a home that's within that district or on that survey.
When we came before the town to get the gallery, the way we try to convince them that this is a good idea, is like, look, put in a retail spot and it could close down in 6 months. Or you could put in a gallery that, has community support that brings people into town, into Pendleton, looking at it as a destination point. And it's like a day trip type of thing. If people felt like, my house is on this register and taking
Yeah.
some pride in that.
Yeah.
Maybe we can convince the realtors that
Yeah.
that's maybe like you said, it's a sticking point, maybe kind of like unstick that.
Yeah, and I think that, I mean, that's like the hope that people will be like proud to be in this district and maybe take a little initiative, and then what one person does would hopefully positively affect the people around them. I mean, that's what you
And that
can hope the
happens.
best for,
It
but there
does.
are gonna
Yeah.
be some people who aren't okay with that, I can't afford to put in wood windows.
But
and You're telling me
sometimes,
I
like,
can't use vinyl, and
Yeah, I
it
mean,
is. it's-
Zionsville has been doing this for a long time.
Mhm.
And it's one of those things, like, if you don't want to comply with those types of style, not restrictions, but suggestions, don't move there. Or move
Right, and.
far enough away where you
And that
enjoy.
could help in the future too, with realtors, or if
Mhm.
people are calling, I don't know if people do this, I've never bought a house, but if they call and be like, hey, have you ever had any like foundation permits on this, cracked foundation, like doing all that due
Mhm.
diligence.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're also in a historic district. Did you know that? And these are the rules you have to follow.
Well, and here's, you give them some of the advantages of being in the historic district, when it comes to
Mhm.
grants and,
The grand sister value of your home goes up,
exactly, yeah.
goes up greatly.
I've never read a study
Here's the
that
study.
said anything negative. So every one that's been done is quite positive as far as real estate values, the quality of life is really good.
Yeah.
Now, quality of life goes up. Talented people that we get.
Yeah, I think it would be a really good idea, but, trying to approach it in a way that doesn't make people feel like we're being excluding anyone or.
Landmark was
Pushing it.
sponsored a great big study in Indianapolis, and it came back that it was just
Yeah.
positive on every single count.
Because we are losing. So-
Well, and Irvington in Indianapolis is historic. It's become a part of its mind,
Yes.
and people go there to buy an old house that they can.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Property
exactly.
Square.
Yeah, oh, yeah,
There's
absolutely.
so many areas down there that have been saved because they did make it, more restricted.
Absolutely.
But it's just Indian Landmarks has all these pamphlets that you can hand out. There's one right here.
Yeah.
George and pass it on down. That they give you everything, how to do it, how to move forward, how to be positive,
Yeah.
what not to say, just like regular PR stuff.
So, okay, so we'll move forward on kind of some of these other things, but I'll send out an email for these conferences and short courses. And that's all I've got. So,
Hannah, that's what I sent to you, or Haley sent to you. Go ahead and send that to all the
okay.
the commission here so they can look at it, because we've got to have everybody on board or agreement, at least what we're gonna do, or if we're not going to do it. This is a good time to study it and see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a copy of that.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Good job.
Oh, yes.
Adjourn.
Do we have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Favor? All right. No opposed. We're like-